you go to school?
St. Benedict's.
Oh, good school.
Yes.
Good. All right, I'm listening.
So, all right, you're good? Yep. Okay. What are your ideas about the qualifications employees need to have to be hired here?
Well, integrity is number one. You can't really, Anthony, work with someone who you can't trust.
Right.
So, outside of integrity, I think it's willing to be aggressive. When I say aggressive, in other words, I don't mind somebody making mistakes. Mistakes are not a bad thing. Mistakes are a learning process. So when you make a mistake, you're learning something. But a person who's doing nothing, not making mistakes, usually is not learning. So I'd rather them be aggressive enough to take risk.
Right.
So integrity first, and then be willing to take a risk. That's a learning curve, and that's you can usually find out pretty quickly with someone if they're willing to do that. In other words, frozen at your desk doing nothing will not accomplish anything. But the person who says, I'll try that, I may make a mistake, but of course they have to feel comfortable to make mistakes too. So our supervisors, managers, they have to be willing to let people make mistakes. And somebody make a mistake and you can't be beat up for that.
Right.
Correct it, don't do it again, but that's okay. Mistakes are not bad. So integrity number one, and a person willing to take risk and not managing to make mistakes.
Okay. What do you think the characteristics of a leader are?
Characteristics of a leader. Well, again, I guess probably integrity first. Okay. I think they have to have a sense of kind of a willingness to listen. In other words, we call it mutual respect, and when I say mutual respect, I need to respect the people around my executive team. I think a good leader has to be willing to be wrong. A good leader has to create an environment where people can challenge him. In my opinion, it would be real easy to say, well, I'm the CEO, I'm the position, so therefore everybody line up and be what I expect you to be. And that doesn't allow anybody really to be where they need to be potentially. And I've had some consultants to come in with our executive team and comment after the meeting that they were impressed that our team had the ability to have a robust argument. And I think I am blessed to have a group of people that have no problem challenging me and letting me know what they think is right or wrong. And they feel comfortable enough that I'm not going to crucify them just because they're going to challenge what I'm trying to get done. So I think a good leader has to have integrity, he has to have mutual respect, and that means willing to allow people to voice their opinions and listen to them. And so when I said listening, I think you have to be willing to listen and then admit your mistakes. Man, some leaders can't make a mistake. They think that in order to be a leader, you have to be perfect. Well, that's not the case. Nobody's perfect. And only one person's been perfect, and he's not handling this stuff anymore. He's doing bigger stuff. Well, he is still handling that, but the Lord's, that's his deal. But my point being is, I really think that once you understand that if you can work with people and you can listen to them, have mutual respect and have integrity, and then be willing to say to yourself that you can make mistakes and that you can be transparent and be vulnerable, people will migrate to you and listen to you, and you can work with them. Where if you're trying to be everything to everybody, you're not going to succeed in any of that. So that's my thoughts. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
What experiences have helped you become a better leader?
Well, that's a great question because, all experiences teach us something. And what I have learned, it's been the traumatic things that have occurred, the trials, the tribulations. A year and a half ago, October 2010, we had a fire. Immediately you have a set of eyes that look at you and say, what's next? Now, fortunately, we had a catastrophe plan, and so we'd already thought through some of that. But it's always when you have something that is unexpected. How do you handle the trials? When everything's going smoothly, that's not that big a deal. But when you have a trial or tribulation, a real issue, leaders learn how to lead through crisis, and people follow leaders that handle crisis. So I think what teaches me to be a better leader is not to run from a crisis. I think I have a philosophy that, and Anthony, I think you'll find this as you get into business, as you graduate from college, you move in. All of us are either going into a crisis, coming out of a crisis, or right in the middle of a crisis. Life is made up of how do we handle a crisis, and I think leaders develop leadership skills based on how they handle the crisis. So for me, fire, I was diagnosed with cancer 4 years ago. That's a rude awakening, and you have to deal with that. 1987, the market crashed 21%, a little over 21% in one day. That's a crisis because everything went from revenue coming in at this level to here, and you have to figure out your people working and how do you manage around that, and you try to my responsibility is to families and people that work here that I respect, and so I have to work around some things. For that period of time, I went without an income for 9 months, and they got paid. I had done some planning to work around it. So that's what teaches you. Crisis such as economic, personal health crisis, family crisis, illness, whatever. I think that's the best teacher. How do you handle those problems? And sometimes I've handled them better than others, but every time I learned from it. So that's been what's taught me the best.
What do you appreciate in your employees?
Hard work. But you would expect me to say that. Everybody should say that. Hard work. That's a tough question because I think when I look for, it's not so much whether they come in here at 10 minutes to 8 or 15 minutes to 8 and leave at 5:15. That's not important. I like people that take risks. I like people that are thorough, that are honest, the integrity thing that I said earlier. I like them to have fun. I want us to enjoy what we do. I don't want to work in a place that at the end of the day, man, it was a drudgery to be there. And, I feel like I've been beat up all day. So I think it's good for us to laugh, and I think people, it's a team. I don't like duplistic people. I don't like people that are backbiting or hypocrites. I want us to, if you work for me, Anthony, and you've got a problem, then I feel like you ought to have the right to share that problem. Tell me what the issues are. You have a right to come to my office, or you've got a supervisor that you're working with, but you have a right. And I think what I expect people to do is to say, here's the problem, can I help you fix it, instead of complaining. I don't like people that complain. If you got a complaint, give me the solution, because we'll fix it if we can. Now, sometimes you might tell me, hey, I don't like wearing red and blue ties. Well, I hate that, but that's what we want you to wear, is red and blue ties, and that's kind of the system. Let's share our problems with each other. Let's work together to fix them. I expect employees, people that I work together with, to have that sense of the better we are is because people work together, and I think we've got a great cohesive group of people. I think there's a unity, but that comes because there's an attitude, there's an environment. And I expect people to participate in the environment and to add to the environment, not take away from it.
What are some of your accomplishments that you have achieved in your position?
Survived. that was an easy one. I got a bunch of designations and stuff like that, but I think I have been able to work in this position for a long time as an owner, now currently Source CEO. I have a successorship plan that I'm very, very pleased with. You met Mac a few minutes ago. He's been with me 20 years. And he's my successor. Jeremy is my successor. I got a great group of guys that are underneath them. Any person, in my opinion, that's an entrepreneur builds a company. You got the Fred Smiths of the world that are that's the pros, in my opinion. That's a phenomenal story itself. Then you got the small business owner like myself, and what I think we all have to do, regardless of whether you're Fred Smith or Jim Shoemaker, and I'm not even trying to put it in the same category, but we're creators of the business. All of us are our legacies is not based on our accomplishments. Our legacies are based on what we've done to establish the firm to go forward after we're gone. So I think when you ask me what my accomplishment is, I think I have created an environment that has the ability to continue when I'm not here. And that, to me, is what I consider to be the most important thing I've done so far. And I look forward to executing that as we continue to move forward. I mean, they're all in their places, and I'm just spending time now to teach them, to work with them.
And the last one is, what is some advice you can give potential management employees?
Oh, that's let me share with you a couple things. First of all, I do think that's a great question, and that's somebody obviously, compliments to your teachers and what they're doing, because that's a great question. Because I think what has to happen for leaders, managers, leaders, you need to establish what you stand for. In today's world, today's business world, and all you have to do is spend a few minutes with the news at night, you have people that have broken integrity issues because they were trying to get a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
They've lied, they've cheated, they've stolen. I mean, I just read today, was told today of a guy that had tremendous potential success. I mean, this guy had all the gifts in the world, talented, intelligent, but he broke a moral code that he shouldn't have done, and he's done. I mean, his career is over. He'll recoup some of it, but he'll never be the person that he had the potential to be. And to me, my advice to you and everybody in your class is, what do you stand for? What's the moral fiber that is not compromisable? In other words, I don't cheat. Okay, that's fine, and that's one. I don't lie. I mean, I'm not going to shade the truth. I'm going to be open and honest. I'm not going to violate biblical principles. I'm not going to, we have some principles that I stand for. What are they? Define them, make them solid, and then live by them. Don't allow somebody to push you into saying, well, we got to do this. I wouldn't work for a company that says, in order for us to make a profit, you've got to lie, and you've got to cheat, and you've got to steal. It ain't right. And the sad thing about it is, I watched a movie. There was a movie, Courageous. I don't know if you saw the movie Courageous, but it was a great movie, and I would highly encourage every young man, every person I know to see it. But it's a film, and one of the things, this young man was unemployed, and he was struggling, and a company had brought him in. And he had worked for this company, and he was doing a very good job for them. And the CEO and his supervisor brought him in to interview for a position that would have been a tremendous move for him. I mean, a great upper lateral movement, and it would have tremendous promotion. But in the interview, they said, "Now look, we have you to understand, in shipping things, sometimes I want you to count 2 boxes and only ship 1, and I want you to do this." I mean, they were dead serious, and I mean, they were. And he just, he said, man, of course, he knew that if he didn't accept that and do that, he could go back to being unemployed. And the whole deal was, he went back to his wife and told her, and she cried, and, and all this kind of stuff. And she said, but you got to have the job. She put too much pressure on him again, but he said, that's just not what I do. And he went back, and literally, I mean, tons of pressure on him, and you could sense the pressure. The movie was great at showing this. Said, I don't do that. And he said, I just can't do that. I'm not going to be capable of doing that. And they sent him out of the room, and the whole time you're watching this, you're like, God, boy, would I have done that? Would I have done that? Because he's going to lose his job. What they were doing was testing him. And the whole essence of the story was that they wanted to make sure that he wouldn't do that.
Right.
And as a result, he got the promotion. But it just taught what find out what you're made of.
Mm-hmm.
Find out your character. Stick to your character. In the long run, at the end of the day, you'll be rewarded. And that's what I would tell anybody going to be in management, is don't compromise your character at any time. Once you tell a lie, you got to remember that lie, because you're going to have to tell another one to cover that one. So just don't do it. Right. And it'll serve you extremely well by doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.